Welcome back to the Movie Draft House. I'm your host, Mark, joined by co-host Jeff.
Hey, Mark. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing well. It's another great day in the Draft House.
Thought maybe you could have met me with the same amount of enthusiasm, but that's okay.
I'm ready to
Is
go.
everything okay down there on Markland?
I'm enthused. Markville is great.
Good.
We're doing well. The population of 1 is awesome.
Sounds lonely.
I mean, there's more than me here in Markville, but
You can't be lonely during romantic comedy month.
I'm not. But before we get into what we watched this week, we got to plug some music. And in this month of love, we give thanks and our gratitude, which could also be referred to as love, to the one-man band's Troy Doherty, who goes by the stage name of Troy. He's from New Jersey, and he's doing big things with his song Gemini. Be sure to give him a like, follow, and a subscribe. If you hit the show notes, get all the links. Thanks to him for allowing us to use his music here on our podcast.
Yeah, buddy.
Jeff.
Hey, Mark. Yeah.
Hey, what did we watch this week?
Well, this week we watched Roxanne from 1987. It's rated PG, and it runs for 1 hour and 47 minutes. It's directed by Fred Schepisi. I'm going to go with that.
Schepisi.
It, of course, as our month is Adam and Eve and Steve romantic comedies, I still think this is one of the worst ideas. And I helped come up with it. I'm not blaming anyone.
But yet you keep mentioning how bad
I do keep mentioning it because every time I have to say it, I feel weird.
Why? Let's dive into that. Why do you feel weird saying Adam, Eve,
question.
or Steve?
Because I think it's weird to restrict ourselves by the names of the individual actors in the film.
But
I also didn't want to just do straight romantic comedies.
Right. It's more finite.
Yeah.
More.
Which was the point.
Yes.
And it's a bit late now because we're
it is.
4 weeks in. We're
Yeah.
almost done. I won't bring it up next week. Maybe. Anyway, this movie stars Steve Martin. That's our Steve, as well as Daryl Hannah, known from Splash. Shelley Duvall, who you might know from Popeye and The Shining, as well as Fred Willard, a small part from Damon Wayans. I'm guessing he's not the household name he is, well, back in the late 90s. And that's about it. It also stars Rick Rossovich, who I mostly know as one of the pilots from Top Gun.
That's a random recall.
No, that's the only thing he's ever been in. Well,
so how do you know he's in that?
IMDb. Like, I didn't recall it. So at first, I thought he was the love interest in the Steven Spielberg film Always, and that's why I went looking through his filmography to confirm that, and I was wrong. He's not. But that's when I saw he was in Top Gun, and that would explain why I recognized his face, because I've seen Top Gun a lot.
Right.
That's why I brought it up. Okay.
That's fine. Just a random bit of trivia there. Jeff, had you seen this before?
I'm surprised by just how much I remembered and how much nostalgia this film gave me. So I've definitely seen it. And not only have I seen it, it was enough of an impression on me that I knew all the beats, even though I haven't seen this in decades. And I think I saw this as a young child, when it was popular and it came out on VHS. Maybe my parents rented it or something, but I had definitely seen this and knew kind of what was going to happen beat for beat, and it really filled me with nostalgia. So yes, I've definitely seen this. How about you?
And never.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why I'm surprised, but
right, I don't either.
I guess there's some movies where I assume, even though they're old, you've seen them.
This film, I want to say I knew it existed,
Okay.
but I might be telling you a lie. I don't.
Wasn't this the one that your wife
Yes.
might have been recommending?
She did. She did. When I was trying to have her help me come up with some Steve Rom Coms,
so
she
she's aware
suggested
of
that.
it.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if she was looking them up and she just came across it and said it, or if
So did she watch it with you?
No.
Oh, okay. You
she
make it
is-
sound like
she's not an old film watcher either. So,
breaks my heart.
no, it just like I discussed a couple weeks ago. Steve Martin's films, his filmography really is a real big blind spot to me, and I know why now. I know why.
Okay.
This early stuff of his is very slapstick, right? We discussed it in the Lonely Guy episode. Very slapstick.
Lonely Guy is full slapstick.
Yeah, this
To
is
me,
another
this
one
is
that
a much more balanced rom comedy. Like it's a comedy with romantic elements, right?
yeah, but
and-
there's still a lot. There's a lot here too, though.
Yeah, but I think it's a comedy first, right? Because like
Yes.
some rom coms can be really romantic first, and they're funny. Maybe we would look at that one about the end of the world
Sure.
to a lesser degree. But to me, this is a comedy with wrapped around a romantic story, and the romance is there, but it does take a backseat to the comedy. But I also wouldn't call this slapstick. Personally, I wouldn't define it that way, but just more of a straight kind of comedy as compared to The Lonely Guy, where people are jumping off bridges and no one's
Right.
helping anyone, and it's a very, very silly movie. Where I find this to be less silly.
I mean, I feel like we'd be splitting hairs if we debated that, but
We can.
I
We're
don't-
here. We've
I
got plenty
don't-
of time.
I don't want to.
I'm not going to debate viciously, but I'd like to hear
No.
why.
All right, so
Okay, how about
the
this?
beginning
Let
of
me put it this way:
Okay.
why would you consider this to be slapsticky?
okay, the opening scene, he attempts to fight or fights these
He
two.
kicks their ass.
Yes,
What are you talking about?
But it's a very slapsticky fight, like just very comical, comedic, fight. Then you got the whole the firehouse crew.
They're okay. Now you're making some sense here because that the scene when
With the
he's
fire
in the office
hose
and the fire hose is blowing the firemen up and down past the window behind them. That is very slapstick.
yeah, but most of the stuff that they do throughout the film is pretty slapstick to me.
Yeah.
Then you've got the scene where Steve Martin he's running away. I forget what the context was, but he encounters the group of old ladies on the sidewalk at night, and he falls out of the
what he was doing.
he
there.
falls out of the tree. And he's like, "Oh my god, I just got dropped by aliens!" And he starts like mimicking an alien.
Aliens that want to have sex with old women.
Right, and he
Come on.
makes the suction cup sounds, and I mean it's funny. It's just
That's
but
fair. No, see, this
it's
is the thing. That's
slapstick.
very fair.
and then there's another scene. I don't know.
So one of my favorite gags, and it is a slapstick gag because this would never happen. So when I think of slapstick, I think of something that's exaggerated that would never really happen in real life, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that fight scene you could consider slapstick, but to me that's like borderline. But certainly the guy with the fire hose flying around, that's definitely slapstick. And the whole gag with this guy's nose is pretty
for sure.
slapstick. It's it's a comically large nose.
Yeah, right. It's
But-
insanely large.
Yeah, but I think for me, slapstick is things that really just couldn't happen in real life. And I think that there are a couple moments that certainly fall that way. And the comic relief of the fire crew is definitely in that realm. But one of my favorite gags, and I think it is a slapstick gag, but it happen in real life, is actually he's leaving the diner and he puts a quarter in the newspaper machine and pulls a newspaper out, reads the front page and screams, "Ah!" turns around, puts a quarter in, and puts the newspaper back, and then walks away. Loved that. I loved the idea of him buying a newspaper, being so horrified by real life that he puts it back in the newspaper thing, pays to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's comedy gag.
That's comedy, but I wouldn't say that's slapstick.
Yeah, I would call it borderline because I don't think anyone would have that reaction. Like to be so offended by the news to go put it back. That's what I found funny.
We live in the year 2024.
But also nobody gets newspapers.
Right. No, so Steve Martin's, as far as what I can tell and the films that I've seen from him in the 80s, it's a brand of comedy that I'm just not, it's not my cup of tea. And while I really like Steve Martin as an actor, as a comedian, and this film actually went a long way. I want to go, and I haven't done it, but I want to go watch some Steve Martin stand-up. We talked about it the other week. Mm-hmm. But like, if some of his stand-up is anything like, the what is, they were in a restaurant or wherever they were at, where he gives the 50 reasons why his nose is. Oh no, it's the
20 reasons.
20, right?
Yeah. Or the 20 jokes that are better than "Hey, big nose."
Right. So, from what I can tell,
a chance to get away.
Right, and it's probably the best scene in the entire film. But
oof.
But I think for me, Steve Martin's 80s career is meant for a certain audience, and I'm not really that audience, and so that's why I think, because I'm pretty sure I saw this the trailer to this film, some of his other 80s films. I'm just like, I don't want to watch.
Well,
that.
You've seen Little Shop,
yes, right? Funny slapstick.
What was the one we watched a couple? Oh, The Lonely Guy.
Yeah, The Lonely Guy. Yeah,
it's a great movie.
And Roxanne. Now, so
I think this is like his best era for me. Like, because I haven't seen Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, but I want to watch it. But The Man with Two Brains is incredible. All of Me's pretty good. Three Amigos, Little Shop, Roxanne, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which is an A++ movie, Parenthood. Incredible run in the 80s to me. Like, that's all pretty much bangers.
Sure, and like, you're his audience, and like, I recognize that. He was considered one of the great comedians in the 80s and 90s. And he might still be considered one of the great comedians. I don't know. But like, to me, this felt like one big long TV show. Like from the 80s, 90s. And I don't know if it was because just, it is very 80s feeling. The setting, even though it's kind of Midwesty, it just had an 80s tone to it. The plot's very simple. The characters, other than Steve Martin, are kind of just forgettable. I just felt like I was watching a long TV show. But I mean,
did you find it funny?
Yeah,
did you have some good laughs along the way?
Sure. The comedic value in this film is good, right? I don't know how far I can go with that, right? I don't know how far I can go with a film being held together by a couple good scenes, to me.
I cannot agree. I don't think it's a film held together by a couple good scenes. I find the movie to be quite hilarious. Scene after scene was surprising and funny to me, even though I had seen this movie. I think there is some heart here when, like, he's up on the roof with the bullied kid. And one of honestly, the best and most human lines in this movie is when the chubby kid on the roof's like, they called me Tubby or Fat Boy or whatever. And Steve Martin gives a very sincere, damn it, why do they do that? And it was a moment where you could say, here's Steve Martin's character who's been picked on probably since school and high school, and his fatal flaws. He's really doesn't like anyone bringing up his nose. He will kick your ass if you do. And I thought that was a superhuman moment. Now, I'm not going to call this movie perfect because I don't buy the romance very much. It's kind of silly, to be honest, because if you haven't seen the film, there's this really tall, handsome guy that works with Steve Martin, played by Rick Rossovich, who's terrible with women. I like the scene where he goes into the bathroom and then he just escapes out the window. And I'm just thinking that Daryl Hannah's there thinking that he went into the bathroom and is just taking the hugest shit of all time.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think Shelley Duvall's character is very grounded and needed and necessary, as well as adding to the heart part of things. Again, the whole romance really just breaks down to Steve Martin writing these sort of flowery things about Roxanne, and then Chris taking credit for it, and then eventually she realizes that she's fallen in love with this person who's written this kind of hacky poetry that I can say that I'm not into. I think the rest of the movie for me really works from a comedic level.
Yeah, I agree with you about what's her face, the grounded lady,
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. She is the kind of the compass north presence. She's there to steer the characters in the direction, and I think that's that's not an 80s thing, but they're very predominant, those types of characters in a lot of 80s films, 90s films too. But I enjoyed, the scene towards the end where, she catches on, or did he tell her?
No, Shelley Duvall told her.
Right, no, but how did Shelley Duvall find out?
Shelley Duvall
did Steve,
because he told her. He told Shelley Duvall.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she recognizes that, Steve Martin really loves Daryl Hannah's character.
And Steve Martin's not particularly, doesn't get a lot of ladies because of his nose.
No, but here's what kind of bothers me about his character is that he is so super confident in every other aspect of his life in this film.
Do you think he's overcompensating?
Maybe. But like the breadcrumbs aren't there for me to believe that, right? That he's overcompensating, because every other scene in this film where he's not with either Daryl Hannah or Rick Rossovich, man, he's A+. Firefighter, A+. Life of the Party, A+. Billy Badass, A+. And so, like, when it came time for him to kind of shoot his shot, I didn't buy that he wouldn't have any, like, he'd let his nose get in the way. And that kind of took me out a little bit, and I was like, well, I mean, if you're that confident in the other aspects of your life, and you got no problem doing anything else. Like, he stood up in front of a room full of 100 people and cracked jokes about every other thing.
But at the end of the day, he knows that people will like him when they get to know him. But he does not believe that a woman can romantically love him.
And I didn't buy that.
I think that his confidence makes sense to me, in that he's dealt with a lot of shit and he has found, peace around the people in the town. But he also realizes that he is always in the friend zone and he's only ever been put there. Right. And even like the people that do like him, they do snicker behind his back about his nose. Right. And I think that that's a very realistic thing too, is that he just kind of has come to this conclusion that this just isn't going to happen for him. And I think that that is why he's comfortable around her, right? When he's around her, makes jokes, has fun, but he knows it's never going to go any further than that. And so he doesn't try.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, right?
I think I make a good point, but that's
no,
fine.
you do. But I at the end of the day, I'm just like, if a man, and I don't know how old the character is supposed to be in this movie, because it's hard to gauge.
It was Steve Martin. It's very tough to tell because he was born with gray hair.
Right. So I'm thinking, like, he's maybe 30s in this film, and he's lived with this huge ass nose all of his life, and he's gone through life putting up with it, and he even goes to a doctor or whoever, and he's like, make my nose smaller, and I thought the scene where he's putting up the nose, I don't even know what they were.
Yeah, they're just like nose placards that he'd put in front of his nose. Yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny. It's because, it was just it was comedic. Where you can try to visual Steve Martin with these other stupid ass noses, but I don't know. The movie just didn't have that effect on me where I'm like, yeah, this is this guy trying to win this lady's affection. I really didn't like Rick Rossovich, his character.
No, you're not supposed to, though.
Right.
He kind of sucks as a human.
No, right. And he's only trying to get with Roxanne to have sex with her.
Right. And then he actually finds someone who is his intellectual equivalent, and he realizes that that's actually what he wants. He doesn't really want a woman who just is smarter than him and better than him in just about every way. So
right, and that's why like when Daryl Hannah, I don't know if she ever has a conversation with Rick Rossovich's character face to face.
No, they have that one on the porch where Steve Martin is in his ear essentially.
Right.
And
more slapstick there, right?
Yeah. I didn't think that was that funny, but
no, but I'm saying it was slapstick because they're repeating the all cars bulletin, because he's getting feedback from some police radio.
Yeah.
But no, at the end of the day, you're right. The romance, even though the movie is called Roxanne, where it's supposed to be about the romance, it was really about Steve Martin's character. They should have called it C.D. Bales.
I don't think that rolls off the tongue. And I think Roxanne's based off of another work. I don't think this is an original piece of work.
Well, that'd be interesting. But I think as a comedy, this works. As a romance, it also works. So you hit the theme for sure.
That was a low bar, though.
Marriage Story, you had to climb a mountain to get over that one.
Well, no, you did. I didn't pick that film. I think I might be wrong. I think this is an original story. So maybe they should have called it C.D. Bales. But that doesn't, like I said, Roxanne's a much better title for a film.
Steve Martin's credited as a writer on this, so...
that could mean anything. He could be writing a screenplay.
Sure. I don't know. Of Steve Martin, so you've seen a good chunk of his 80s filmography.
Yep.
Where does this rank for you in his in this era of his?
Let's also keep in mind that it is this decade for him is kind of amazing. Now, The Jerk is 79, so we don't have to worry about that one. I haven't seen Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. The Man with Two Brains is probably my favorite. Then there's Three Amigos, which is legendary. And then I'd say this. I'd say this is probably third on his 80s roster.
I mean, he's got, what, 8 or 9?
He's
He's got a couple of TV movies in there, so I don't know.
Yeah, like Man with Two Brains, The Jerk 2, which that's a TV movie. Yeah, Three Amigos, Roxanne. That's pretty much it. Oh, that's his writing credits. Hold up. Let me fix that. Let's try that again, because I thought I saw way more movies. Let's see. Good podcasting here. Okay.
Yeah, no. All right, hold on. I'll give you. I'll give you
Pennies
his
from Heaven, which I've never seen.
Okay.
Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I haven't seen. I've put both of these on my wish list now. I'm going to watch them because I'm realizing as I watch these, I'm a huge fan of this era of him. Man with Two Brains. Amazing. Lonely Guy. Pretty good. Movers and Shakers. Never seen it. Three Amigos is
What about
a
All of
legendary
Me?
film. All of Me's good. I like All of Me. Three Amigos, while it's legendary, I'd never really... It's never one of my favorites. Little Shop, I really like. Go back in the back catalog. Roxanne. Then there's Planes, Trains. Okay, so here we're way... Okay, so this isn't even in the top 3 or 5, probably. Because Parenthood, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Man with Two Brains, maybe it's 5th. You know, it's decent. It's a middle of the road 80s Steve Martin movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is just to say, as much as I like it, that's how good the 80s were to him.
Yeah, I mean, of those movies you mentioned, I've seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Three Amigos, Little Shop of Horrors, and Lonely Guy. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, so for me, the glaring omissions, and I plan on getting to, maybe not, but if you want to take it upon yourself to see Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which is my favorite Steve Martin movie, that's number 1. It's got Michael Caine in it. And then Parenthood is incredible, and I am plan on picking it for the podcast whenever the chance arrives.
I mean, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels looks good. Looks like something
It's
I would
so
watch. Right?
Good.
I also think so.
It's directed by Frank Oz, the voice of Miss
Yoda.
Piggy and Yoda.
I didn't realize
so good.
he directed
I'm gonna
shit.
rewatch it. Yeah, that's a killer movie too. I think
No,
I own it might even be on my.
The Voodoo
I'm gonna check.
Movies Anywhere, whatever it's called.
It may not be, but I'll need to buy it. I think I have it on DVD, but I love this movie.
I think one of the things that kind of threw me for a loop with Roxanne here is that it kind of feels like a 2-hour movie, right? I just like I felt like it dragged in different spots where it didn't need to drag a little bit, and it like and I know why the scenes were in there, like the aliens want to have sex with old women scene didn't really serve a purpose, was just there so
that was
Steve
really
Martin
weird.
Yeah, so right.
So I kind of was trying to think, why is he doing this in that scene? And he sends them over to Roxanne's house. So I'm guessing he's trying to get them to disturb whatever sort of coitus is happening.
Yeah, he's trying to stop Chris
and he does it in the weirdest way. I got abducted by old lady loving aliens.
It's just
ridiculous.
You know, I just at different parts I felt like this movie was dragging a little bit. Whereas in The Lonely Guy, I didn't feel that way, is because it was just kind of this eclectic collection of things that Steve Martin was doing, and it was funny. And certain parts of this movie, I was just like, oh man, that like the motions he's doing with his arms as he's mimicking the aliens and making the sounds. I thought that was pretty funny. But it kind of just took me out of where the movie was because it's so silly. It's just him acting weird in front of these women, and I don't know. 80s are weird, bro. 80s are a weird time for movies.
I love it so much.
So, I mean, I don't know what. Are we good? Do we need to?
No, we never have to drag it out.
Okay.
If we put out a 15-minute episode and we cover everything we want to cover, I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, did we cover everything you think we needed to cover?
Yeah, I think I really like it. It's really funny. And it, like I said, it was a nostalgia bomb for me. And I was happy to rewatch it. I was glad to have it refreshed in my memory, and I'll probably watch it again at some point.
So you recommend it?
Nah. They're better. Like I said, we went through that list of Steve Martin movies.
Yeah.
Did I recommend Lonely Guy? I don't remember.
I think you did.
Maybe if I did, then I have to recommend this because it's better than Lonely Guy. But I guess my reason for not doing it is because you should go watch Dirty Rotten Scoundrels instead. You should go watch The Man with Two Brains instead. But once you've seen those, come back to this. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna recommend it. I'm glad I watched it. Like I said about the Lonely Guy, I'm glad I'm getting this Steve Martin blind spot out of the way. I mean, I know
I'm here to educate you.
Right. I know there's still other films that I need to see by his that are considered really good by most movie watchers. I'm just finding that his brand of comedy in this era.
You're not much of a comedy watcher.
I'm not right, and
right.
I've said that before. I think I'm more of a raunchy comedy guy than just kind
and
of.
I'm
this.
not like
right, right.
I'm okay with a raunchy comedy, but at some point my phone stopped recording. I don't know when. Anyway,
oh God,
I apologize.
Shit, that fucking. I'm not putting your face doing different emotions.
No, it's fine. Just put a monkey up there or a freeze frame. It doesn't matter to me. But something happened with my phone while we were recording.
Jesus Christ. Every single week.
No.
Every single week.
Most weeks.
The phone falls over. The phone stops recording.
That might have happened at some point. But yeah, I like I said, there are movies that we will get to. I only hesitate to give you Dirty Rotten Scoundrels because I love it so much that I think if I do ever try to get you to watch it, I'll want to watch it at your house with you because I feel like you're more receptive when my enthusiasm is there too.
Well,
like
and
if
also,
you watch a movie with someone who's enthusiastic about it, it's a little harder to hate it. But I think you would. I think Parenthood is a movie you'll really like because not only is it funny, it's a drama. There's a lot of stuff happening in that movie that isn't funny, that is quite serious. Directed by Ron Howard.
Yeah, we texted about that, a year or so ago.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I don't. Knowing if you really like a movie is going to kind of curb like my true emotions about something, is because ultimately I'm a nice guy and I don't want to shit all over something that you really like, right?
It wouldn't bother me, but I would defend it vociferously, which you've done before. Well, we've watched some movies where you're like, this is bullshit. This is the shittiest thing. I'm like,
I don't remember.
Well, I think of like Encino Man, was one you didn't particularly like. But he didn't really shit on that. The
Yeah,
one
I didn't hate
firmly
it.
shat on was Ravenous, but I wouldn't say I loved
which
that
we
movie,
both
but it
agreed was a bottom
unfair.
5 movie.
No, no, we did not.
Anyway, what do we watch next week?
So next week we're going to watch the film Leap Year, starring Amy Adams. And how appropriate is this? That episode will release on February 29th.
It's almost like we planned it.
We did plan it.
I know.
And here's what I'll pitch to you. We should watch this movie every leap year day. Just come back to it and watch it every leap year day and just release a bonus episode. It could be 10 minutes of like this movie. I might feel bad. I might feel different if we watch it. I'm like, this is horse shit. it has got a low Metacritic score. Never mind. I take it back. Don't release that into the universe.
Yeah, don't hate it before you watch it.
I'm not going to hate it before I watch it. And you know me, Metacritic score often is wrong, especially when it comes to my taste. But at the same time, this doesn't look like my kind of film.
No, and I think it's a true romance, actually. I don't know how much I've seen the movie before, but it's so I want to say incredibly average as a
why are we doing this
rom-com that I just don't remember much about it.
We're only doing this because it's a leap year.
Yes,
and
correct.
We're recording on a day that releases on leap year day.
But lucky for all of you listening, you can hit the show notes and get all the links to all of the podcast social media accounts. We're on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right here on YouTube, where you're probably watching us right now. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future content here in the podcast. And Jeff, let me tell you, as we get more followers, they're leaving more
hate mail.
Hate mail comments.
Are they?
Yeah. I forget what it was. Oh, it was Mr. and Mrs. Smith
which is a recent 5-minute review you put out.
It's the Amazon Prime reboot of that, starring Donald Glover and Maya Erskine. And like it's got a lot of comments, and like every third comment is like, "Oh, you fucking say too much. Oh, bitch, you should re-record this and not say
I got it pulled up real quick. We're going to do this. And it's crazy. If you take out all the ums and ahs, it could be a 3-minute review. You liked this post.
I know.
Then we'd have to change the name and the whole thing. And then this one looks like a genuine reply. I think among the best shows Prime offers, maybe a little slow in the first step. This guy's just adding to the conversation. Dynamic and funny. I enjoyed the Netflix show. Thank you, OneLove66, for being genuinely interested in the conversation. Most of these are actually pretty good. There's only one guy who shot.
There's only one? Really?
I'm looking at this. Oh, no. Okay, yeah, you're right. You maybe should redo this because the ums got a big munch and the point was slow to get to. Okay, so you had 2. And then this other guy just says tatoots. I don't know if that has to do with the film that you reviewed or not.
I don't know.
But what engagement we're getting over on the YouTube page.
Listen, if you want to engage with us, leave us some hate-filled shit on the YouTube.
You get the people. Nobody comments. I get my hate mail over on chronologically. I don't get any here. But I'm also not as what's the word? Ubiquitous, I guess, as you are over here on this.
No, let me get it straight. I appreciate the engagement. I do. And actually that tells me that we're getting somewhere with the channel, right? So I appreciate that. I appreciate any engagement, positive, negative.
What really sucks is that a review of Santa Sleigh has 14 views.
Listen,
nobody wanted to watch that shit.
That's a hidden gem.
The thing I'm learning is that no one is interested in my taste in movies. Some of them have been bold enough to tell me that on Apple Podcast reviews, but and you're, because you tend to pick more modern, relevant films.
Sure.
They tend to attract more traffic, or maybe it's just your handsome face. Like, I'm admittedly not as good looking, but like my both. Equilibrium review, nobody said shit.
No, so like the Mr. and Mrs. Smith episode has over 1,000 views, and there's a handful of and let me just remind everybody is that we just launched this channel like 6-7 months ago, so it's a slow and steady wins the race approach, but I can tell that the YouTube channel is growing. It's getting more engagement. We're getting more followers, subscribers, and I think that's wonderful. I love that. I spend a good amount of time recording videos and editing them and getting them uploaded. I mean, it's not
we get way more engagement on the YouTube channel than we do anywhere else.
Engagement, yeah. The the stuff on Spotify it's I mean, we're doing good there.
How come I only got 17 views on my Lady Blood fight review? That's such a hugely popular movie. This is my problem. Like, the shit I want to talk about, no one cares.
So anyways, we appreciate all the engagement there on the YouTube. Be sure to hit us up on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Spotify, Google Podcast, which I'm told is dying. YouTube, Apple Podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, we're right there. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter and tell him, hey man, there's somebody out there that loves your taste in movies, hit him up at Podcast by Jeff.
And I can tell you who he is. His name's Eric, and he actually helps me record a podcast called Chronologically, where we go through the full filmographies of some of cinema's greatest creators. And if you want to get in touch with Mark and tell him that it's his beautiful face is the reason he gets all the clicks and all the engagement, you can do it on Twitter at I Heard You Liked.
I'm going to start linking to my OnlyFans, too.
I think you should. You might be able to pull down some money. Someone will actually just go in and pay just to tell you how small your dick is.
Engagement. That's engagement.
I'll be honest. Engagement to me is a greater gauge of how well you're doing than numbers.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I mean, we know that from doing different podcasts over the many years. You've been podcasting much longer than I have. So, I mean, you know that firsthand. I just think it's really cool that now as the channel becomes more popular, we're getting more subscribers, the engagement's going up, and we're actually getting people that goes, you fucking say too much.
You suck. That's how you know you made it. Like when I read this bad review over on my other podcast, I actually smiled because I'm like, hey, someone listened. Not only did they listened like 20-something episodes before they tapped out and wrote a bad review. That tells me that I'm doing something right, I think.
And it was a well-thought-out, like, negative review.
Yeah. He took a couple shots at my intelligence, though. Which you probably agreed with, which is why you thought it was a well-thought-out review. You're like, yeah, what a dipshit.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
But you get to say it to my face every week.
Right. But, anyways, Jeff forgot to plug me.
I did not. If you listen back when you edit this, you'll hear that I specifically did.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't rehash it. But anyways,
remember I said people can talk about your beautiful face, and
that's right. And I talked about my OnlyFans.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. Jeff, any last words?
Nope. No words of wisdom. We'll see you on Leap Year Day.